Hi everyone, welcome back. This particular process we're looking at is direct and manage project work. Now, where does this fit in the broader scheme of things? As you can see, we're in project integration management, and it's right up the top of our executing process group. So we're starting to actually do the project work. We're directing and managing that project work. And it's the process of leading and performing the work defined in the project management plan and implementing approved changes to achieve our project objectives. So we've created the plan and now we're going about making it happen. Why do we do this particular process? Well, it provides the overall management of the project work and the deliverables, and it improves the probability of project success. So if we don't do this, basically the project will not get done. So we definitely need a plan, yes, but we also need to execute on that plan, and that's where this process comes about. So it involves executing the planned project activities to complete those project deliverables and accomplish the objectives. The deliverables are produced as outputs from the processes performed to accomplish the project work, and it's as that we've planned it in our project management plan. So we've made our plan, now we're making it happen. It also requires the implementation of approved changes. Maybe things don't go according to plan, and so we have to make a change. That change comes back. Maybe the scope is a little bit different. Maybe the cost is a little bit different. And we need to put that back into our project management plan as we go along through directing and managing the project work. Work performance data is collected. So how is the schedule tracking? How is the cost tracking? How are the activities tracking? All of that work performance data is collected throughout the project, and it provides information about how the project is going. Inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs for this process. Inputs, we want the project management plan. Obviously, we want to know the plan that we're going to be working to. Any project documents like the change log, lessons learned, milestone list. What milestones are we going to be delivering to? Project communications, what has been communicated? What is the schedule, project schedule? Risk register, risk report, and the requirements traceability matrix. How do we know what we're delivering meets our customers' need, their requirements? We want approved change requests to go into this process, and of course enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets or templates, so regulations or templates that might be involved. Tools and techniques that you'll need to use are expert judgment, the project management information system, which we're seeing for the first time, and meetings. And the outputs of this particular process as we're executing on our project management plan, the outputs are the deliverables themselves. So what we are intending to deliver as part of this project. Any work performance data, so how is it tracking? The issues log, so this is the first time we'll see the issues log, and also you might be starting to add some issues if things are not going to plan, which will probably happen as these things evolve over time. It's only natural. Any change requests, maybe as part of those issues that are raised, might turn into a change that needs to be made, and that's a change request and goes through the proper change management process that we'll see soon as well. Project management plan updates, so we're updating our project management plan. Project documents, updating these things like activities list, the risk register, the stakeholder register if people are changing, and of course any organizational process assets updates. Maybe we're updating templates themselves. Now the direct and managed project work process has an input into a lot of other processes. As you can see, manage project knowledge, perform integrated change control, controlling quality, controlling our schedule. So all of these things where we're monitoring or controlling because we're wanting to control the project work as it goes along. Let's look at the inputs in more detail. First of all, we've got the project management plan. So this is any component of the project management plan can be an input. And as you'll see, it might be the scope involved, it might be the cost involved. All of this we do need to know as we're executing our project. So any component of the project management plan. Project documents themselves, the change log is very important because what changes have been made. Lessons learned register, what lessons from previous projects and our current project have been made. The milestone list, so what milestones have we met and what milestones do we have to go. Project communications and the project schedule, how are we tracking? the risk register, the risk report, what risks are involved in our project. We need to know them and we need to update them. And the requirements traceability matrix. Are the requirements meeting, are we delivering something that will actually meet those customer requirements in the first place? Approved change requests will go into directing and manage the project work, because if a change has been made, that will adjust everything that we do going forward. So approved change requests are an output of the perform integrated change control process. Over here in monitoring and controlling, but still in our project integration management knowledge area. Types of change requests might be corrective action, so we're having to correct something that has that's actually gone off track. Preventative action, maybe for the future to ensure that we are sort of coming back on track from our schedule, for example. Maybe we need to have corrective action. Maybe we need to add more resources. Maybe we need to reduce some of the scope. And of course, defect repair from our quality testing. So if we're testing one of the items, once we've created one of the features, for example, we might test it. And once we've tested it, maybe there is a defect and we need to fix that defect, and we might need to raise a change because it's just the way we've developed it is not fit for purpose. We need to change the way that change what we're going to be delivering. So that's where defect repair comes into it. And all of that goes back into the project management plan so that we can execute on that project management plan again. Environmental factors and organizational process assets. So you've got change control or risk control procedures, project information from previous projects, organizational standards, policies, procedures. All of those things will feed in. Maybe there's certain templates that you can use or have to use as part of executing on a project. And of course, environmental factors, any cultural management practices. So how is the work done? And the infrastructure. So what is the work done? Is it on computers? Is it on a certain computer system? And stakeholder risk thresholds. So is there a high threshold for risk or a low threshold for risk? Maybe you need to be very careful of that as you're going through your project. If there's a low risk threshold, you don't want to be making huge changes, definitely not without communicating those and making sure that everyone is okay with those changes as well. Tools and techniques that you'll use will be expert judgment. So you'll need the expert judgment of many people, technical knowledge or on the industry or the focus area of the project. People who you're actually delivering the project to, they'll have all of this expert knowledge on that particular area, and you'll need to gather that from them to make it happen. Cost and budget management, legal and procurement management, legislation or regulations, organizational governance, all that expert judgment, expert information that you might need to gather from the experts themselves in those particular areas. Of course, to do that, we can use meetings as one of our main tools. We might have a kickoff meeting to initiate, the execution work. We might have daily stand-ups in a Scrum or sprint or iteration planning if we've got a backlog of work, and then we're putting that into our sprint. Maybe it's going to go on a Kanban board and go across like that, which you'll see in the Agile Practice Guide as part of this as well. And basically, they're moved all the way from the backlog through to done, and that's how we manage our work. We might have problem solving or progress updates that we need to give through our meetings as well, or retrospective meetings in an Agile environment where we're asking, how did we go in the last 2 to 4 weeks? Do we need to improve? Does anyone have anything that they want to add? That sort of thing, gathering that feedback. And as we're directing and managing project work, the project management information system is one of the key things. It's not a particular program itself, but it's a series of programs and processes. So it can include a lot of different things, but basically it's how we capture the information, the work performance data that we need to manage our project. So how do we capture the activities? How do we capture the actual schedule itself? Is it put into a particular system, and what's the process around that? So, and maybe it's something like a Jira or Trello and a Kanban board, or maybe it's project management or Microsoft Project, where we're listing those activities and we can see those on a Gantt chart, for example. But all of these systems, they fall under the banner of the PMIS, the Project Management Information System, and could include configuration management systems, so the baselined documents that we'll see, and it could be information collection or distribution systems, so who's putting all of this information into a repository and how are we getting it out again, and how are we telling people about those changes. Now lastly, the outputs of directing and managing the project work. We'll have the deliverables themselves. So a deliverable is any unique and verifiable product. It's the result or the capability to perform a service that's required to be produced to complete a process phase or a project. So what is the project actually delivering? That's our deliverable. The change control should be applied once the first version of a deliverable has been completed. So if our deliverable has been completed, and then as we said with our testing, maybe it's not fit for purpose, then we have to go through that change control process and raise a change request under those circumstances. We'll be gathering work performance data as we go along on our project, and that could be information on story points completed, deliverable status, how is the deliverable going, schedule progress, how are we tracking, number of change requests that have been made, number of defects that have been made, any actual durations or actual costs incurred. So what's the actual cost of our project, and is it on track with what we had planned? And of course, just the general work that's been completed and any key performance indicators that we are working towards as part of our project. An output is also the issue log, which makes an appearance for the first time. So the issue log throughout the life cycle of the project will face problems, gaps, or inconsistencies, or even conflicts, and they occur unexpectedly, and they require some action so that they do not impact the project performance going forward. That's when we create an issue. And that issue goes into the issue log, and we track the issue type, who raised it and when, the description of the issue, the priority of the issue, who is assigned to it, target resolution date, its status, and the final solution of any issues that have occurred. We might have change requests as an output of this particular, because we're executing on the project, things might change, we have to raise a change request. And again, they could be because of corrective action, preventative action to prevent something going wrong in the future, defect repair if we've found defects going along on our project as we're delivering items, and any updates to project baselined project documents, like our scope statement, for example. We've locked in our scope. We don't really want to change that without notifying the appropriate people, like our project stakeholder, so we need to go through the proper change request, and that's one of the outputs of this process. Of course, we are also updating the project management plan as an output as we go along with any of those changes, and any of the project documents we're updating as well, like the activity list. Maybe we're adding activities or taking away activities. We're making assumptions or changing assumptions. We're adding to our lessons learned register and our risk register, stakeholder register, as people come and go on our project. And we might be changing as well any of the templates or organizational process assets that might have changed as part of our project as we're going along. And that is the process of directing and managing the project work as part of the project management body of knowledge.